With the Switch 2 having launched less than a week ago, there's a lot of stuff that is going around about the Switch 2 hardware, a lot of people who are having minor issues with the console, and a few things that you can do to make sure that your console lasts longer. There's also a new game announcement Nintendo made out of nowhere, and a lot more Nintendo news. So before we get started, I would really appreciate if you enjoy my content, if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate when you do those things because it helps push my content out to more people. But anyway, let's get started. So the first piece of news that I've gathered is that the Nintendo Switch 2 is breaking launch records around the world. In many places, it had the biggest launch day for a console ever. And this first piece of info on the topic is from Stealth over on X, and he says, quote, "The Nintendo Switch 2 had the biggest launch ever for a Nintendo system in the UK. Switch 2 sold over 160,000 units at launch, and compared to recent launches, the 3DS sold 113,000 units, which was the previous record in the UK, and then the Switch sold 80,000 units. So obviously the Switch 2 is a very popular console in the UK. Now that likely has to do with the Switch 2 not being a concept that you really have to sell people on. It could be because of the abundance of units that have been out there. Nintendo is working very hard to make sure there is an abundance of Switch 2 consoles so that whoever wants one can buy one. And it seems like a lot of people are buying them, and a lot of people who wanted a console got a console. And to back up this claim, we also have OJ Player Essence over on X saying, quote, "Nintendo Switch 2 has set the record for the biggest opening weekend in Spain for any game hardware with over 108k units. That beats out the previous record the PSP had with 54k. Mario Kart Worlds is also the best-selling game of 2025 in Spain." And we also see the info that I read on Stealth's post saying that the Switch 2 had the largest opening week for any Nintendo platform in the UK with over 160,000. So clearly the Switch 2 is a very popular console right now, despite all of the hate and the controversies that have been floating around about it. People still really want a Switch 2. Now, like I said before, this could very well be because you don't have to sell people on the concept of Switch 2 like you did with the Switch. People know that this concept works, handheld, TV mode, tabletop. It can fit any situation. That's what Nintendo's been pushing with their marketing for years, and people are buying it. But it could also be the Mario Kart World bundle with the game for a discount. There could be people who are like, hey, I gotta buy this bundle now because it's gonna go away in the fall. There could be a variety of reasons, but it's changed a lot since the Switch. The market landscape has changed quite a bit. The Switch was a very popular console, so it only makes sense that the Switch 2 is also a very popular console. Now, moving into our next piece of Nintendo news, we have a brand new game that Nintendo has announced just out of the blue. Now, I'm not a Splatoon fan myself, but I know Splatoon fans will be very happy that Splatoon Raiders is a brand new game, the first spin-off ever in the Splatoon series called Splatoon Raiders, and it is an exclusive game to the Nintendo Switch 2. So it seems like it is a more story or adventure-based game. Now, I'm not super into the Splatoon series like I mentioned earlier, so I don't know everything about the Splatoon series, so Splatoon fans, you might want to look into this. It seems like a cool game, but this is also a concern because if Nintendo is going to have a Nintendo Direct, like a lot of the Nintendo community has been talking about, why wouldn't they have announced Splatoon Raiders at this Direct? And the only reason that I can think of that Nintendo would announce a game separate from their Nintendo Direct, this is very unusual behavior for them, is that we're just not going to have a Nintendo Direct for June like everybody was talking about. This was Nintendo's little announcement that they had, and they're not going to be showing off a Direct. Now, this is just a rumor at this point. We don't know anything about a Nintendo Direct, but Nintendo has done some strange things in the past. Like last year, we saw Nintendo have an Indie World and a partner showcase combined, something they had never done before, and people thought they were just trying to sweep all that info under the rug before they announced Switch 2, but Switch 2 was not announced until January. Now, I don't think this situation would be as strange as Nintendo showing off a game before their Direct. I feel like that would be a very strange scenario. I just don't think a Direct is happening at this point, because why in the world would Nintendo show off a game right before their Direct presentation? It would make zero sense for them to do that. They never do it this way. But going back to the topic of Splatoon, we also have a new update for Splatoon 3, which is adding new weapons, a new stage, and a lot more. So if you own Splatoon 3, you are getting a free update. Now moving to our next topic, we have the legend himself, Shigeru Miyamoto, taking to X to announce a delay for the Legend of Zelda movie. So previously, this movie was going to be released on March 26th, 2027, but Miyamoto has taken to X and said, quote, "This is Miyamoto. For production reasons, we are changing the release date of the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda to May 7th, 2027. It will be some weeks later than the release timing we originally announced, and we will take the extra time to make the film as good as it can be. Thank you for your patience." So we basically have Miyamoto saying that the Zelda movie is releasing later than it originally was, but I mean, 2027 is already a long time away, so why not push it back a few weeks? Who's gonna care? Now for our next piece of news, we have a bit of a PSA here for Nintendo Switch 2 owners, and that is that the Nintendo Switch 2 might not be showing the battery life correctly. It might be showing a percentage lower than it actually is, but there is a very easy method that you can do to make sure that your battery percentage is showing exactly what it is. So step 1 says, confirm that you are using an adequately powerful AC adapter to charge your console, and it basically says that the Nintendo Switch 2 AC adapter is the one you want to use, the one that came in the box. You can also buy another one at a retailer, just make sure that it is a Switch 2 AC adapter. Before you do this fix, make sure that your system is up to date by going to the Settings app on your Switch 2, and then go to the System tab, and press System Update to check that your system is up to date. And then hold down the power button of your console to restart it, and a menu will appear, so don't press the button, hold it down. And on this menu, it will say Sleep Mode, but below that it will say Power Options. Now you're going to want to click the Power Options button and hit Power Off. Now to complete this fix, put your fingers on the volume up button of your console and the volume down button, and hold them there while you press the power button to turn on the console. Now keep holding down the volume buttons until the menu for recovery mode appears. And if you navigate to this menu, it should reset your battery percentage, so then just hold down the power button to turn off the system. You don't need to do anything on this recovery menu, just seeing it is enough to know that your battery percentage should be fixed. And once your system is powered off again, power it back on and check the situation. Now on my personal Switch 2, the battery percentage jumped about 5% from when I turned it off, and a lot of you probably will see results, likely because these consoles were sitting in a warehouse for a little while before they were sold to you, and the battery can get miscalibrated, and basically doing those steps will recalibrate your battery. Now for the final topic, we also have another PSA, and that is the Joy-Con 2 seem to be bricking for a few people and just not working. So you want to go to the system settings and then controllers and accessories and hit update controllers and run an update on your Joy-Con 2s just to make sure that they continue to work and that they don't self-brick, because if your controllers break, that is a bad thing. You don't want that to happen. But if you go into the settings from time to time and just update your controllers, even your Pro Controller and any other controllers you're using, that should make sure that any bugs that are going on are fixed. But anyway, that is all of the Nintendo news that I have for today. Do you think that Nintendo is wrong for not making sure their consoles are working completely well out of the box? Let me know down in the comments, and I would really appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on X using the link in the description. But anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day.